Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and of course DK in the background. At least for me personally, it's been a minute. Glad to be back. Looking forward to it. Thanks for holding it down, Glenn. Great content as always. I'm also looking forward to tonight's show because the Ravens have continued to make some what I would consider under the radar moves in free agency. But what we're going to get into that I'm really excited about is just simply looking around the league and doing a little bit of roasting of the other team's signings. I think it's a fun place to be as Ravens fans because generally, I'm not saying we're perfect, but the Ravens are pretty good at measuring the market and at least signing players at appropriate value, at appropriate positions of need. Like the Ravens are pretty fiscally responsible that way. Other teams aren't.
Nope.
And you can definitely see the desperation there. So we're going to get into all that. But before we do, we got to shout out our sponsor, BetOnline.
Yeah, absolutely. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for betting on all the madness. Even if your bracket is busted, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with a free Sweet 16 bracket and live betting on every remaining tournament game. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to MLB, NHL, and MMA, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. And Jimbo, I think you pointed out right. You know, the Ravens, a lot of Ravens fans that wish they were more aggressive would call them bargain bin shoppers, but I think you put it more appropriately. They do not overpay guys. They pay guys what their true market value is. And if a team is willing to go beyond that and overpay, then they typically win. If that's the only thing that's of the utmost importance to the player, who gives more money, the Ravens don't always find themselves, on the winning end of that. You can find, proof of that when you look at the top free agent wide receiver contracts that have been given out this year, and we're going to get into some of these later. But Diggs, 3 years, $69 million from the Patriots. Cooper Kupp, 3 years, $45 million from the Seahawks. Devontae Adams, 2 years, $44 million from the Rams. Slayton, 3 years, $36 million. Josh Palmer from the Bills, 3 years, $29 million. And as a reminder, the Ravens got DeAndre Hopkins, 1 year, $5 million. So that's just one example. And it just shows that the Ravens aren't going to overpay. They're not going to get in a bidding war. They will make smart fiscal decisions like they did with DeAndre.
Absolutely. And like you said, I'm really excited to talk about all of it. But Glenn, I think we got to start off the top. I said we've continued to make some under the radar type moves. What have the Ravens done lately? I think it's gotten us excited. But what's going on? And let's talk about it, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Ravens agreed on a 1-year contract, a veteran minimum contract, in fact, with cornerback Chidobe Awuzie. Most people would probably recognize him from his time with the Cowboys and then with the Bengals. Although in 2022, he did tear his knee, had an ACL tear of his knee, and then returned back in 2023, played a full season, and signed a very lucrative deal. In fact, got the most money at any cornerback last season when he signed with the Tennessee Titans on a 3-year contract. Ultimately had some nagging injuries that limited his play to only 8 games. And now he finds himself being paid $7.5 million by the Titans to play elsewhere. And I think that's part of the reason why, of course, the Ravens were able to get Awuzie at vet minimum for 1 year. So while my screen, what's going on here, Jimbo? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Got you.
My picture is just gone.
Is your cord loose? You want to try unplug it, plug it back in for your camera?
Yeah, let me do that. Okay. But Jimmy, why don't you
Yeah, for sure. Put me in solo mode, DK, if you can. And then Glenn, if that doesn't work, just go back to your old camera. But yeah, I'm excited about the signing. Like Glenn was getting to. This guy has shown some signs, in the past, and ability to play good football, kind of stricken by injuries. If I'm not mistaken, last year he signed a 3-year deal with the Titans, and that was, I think, the biggest signing of that offseason at the cornerback position. So the guy has certainly demonstrated that he has value in the market, and it's kind of nice now because the Ravens are getting him at what a lot of people I think last year would have said an absolute bargain. So really happy about that one. And really what it's about is being able to field 3 starting caliber corners, right? So now we have Awuzie, we have obviously Marlon, and then we have Nate Wiggins, right? So this provides us with what I would consider a base. You still have TJ Tampa, you still have some young guys, behind Awuzie to push him. It's not a guaranteed, spot for him, but it does allow us to cover our bases going into the draft, knowing that we have proven commodities at each one of the corner positions. So I think it's a great signing by the Ravens. If it doesn't work out, no love lost. It's not like we're in a situation where we're paying the majority of his salary in this coming year. It's literally the Titans, like Glenn explained. So I think it's a great signing for the Ravens.
Yeah, I agree. You got me clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think first of all, it's no risk. You talk about low risk. This is no risk when you're signing a guy for a vet minimum because he knows he's getting paid $7.5 million by a competitor. He can do things like this, and he's certainly banking on himself, betting on himself, trying to make sure he can bounce back, show he's healthy, and then cash in again next offseason. But always been a really good physical tackler. Always can come up and support the run. He's got inside and outside cornerback experience, so he's not just a slot corner or just a boundary corner. He's done both. I think the Ravens are hopeful they can use him more on the boundary opposite Wiggins, but the good thing is he can do both. This is a guy who's I mean, I would say before the injury, he was one of the better young and up-and-coming corners. Yeah. He's not a small guy. He's 6 foot. He's over 200 pounds. So
that's what I was saying, Glenn. I think last year he had the biggest signing in the cornerback market in the offseason.
He did. Yeah, 3 years. Yeah, he did. And then, of course, had this injury. So the big question is if he's healthy. Because if he's healthy, I think he's a contributor. I think he can help this team. He's a competitor at the point of attack. If the ball's in the air, he goes after it. He's not he's a physical player, which is what I like about him. So if he can be healthy, Ravens got a piece here. I mean, basically they're exchanging Brandon Stephens for Chidobe Awuzie, and I think if the only area that I think Brandon Stephens obviously has the advantage when it comes to being available, at least in recent history. He's always been relatively healthy and been available for the Ravens. But outside of that, I mean, Awuzie matches his physicality. I think we all believe Brandon Stephens was a physical corner who could tackle, although he did have moments where he had some tackling issues. Overall, I think he was a pretty decent tackler. Well, Awuzie matches him in that regard. He finds the ball better when we know that was a big issue. So outside of health, which is a big concern because you can't help the team if you're in the trainer room, I think he's a better player than Brandon Stephens. Now, I'd much rather have Brandon Stephens a healthy version than an unhealthy version of Awuzie because that doesn't help anybody. But here's to hoping that the Ravens' luck continues when it comes to keeping guys healthy, when they come here for that purpose. Like we've had other guys like OBJ. We've had guys come here, get nursed along and be able to contribute. And I think Awuzie has a chance to do just that.
Yeah, and I think this one is a little different. I understand the comparison between him and OBJ, but I think he was already chronically injured, right, and older. I mean, I see the comparison, but certainly I think that this is a scenario where the Titans are looking just to get a fresh start the best way that they can, trim some costs the best way that they can, and kind of turn a new leaf. Yeah, I was waiting to pull up the super chat. DK, can you pull up the super chat, please? Thank you.
I see.
Brian Wharton, thank you so much. Someone get some milk on Glenn's face, then get a cat to lick that mess off. Love you guys. Appreciate the super chat, Brian.
That's what Andy used to say to me.
Yeah, he ain't wrong.
No, he ain't wrong. This isn't great. All right.
How long is this going to go on
ever
for?
Been. Dude, it's one of those things. I'm just going. I'm just see what happens, dude. I've never let it go this long. Never.
I feel like we've been here before.
No, not this long. I've let it go, but not this long. This is really long. But look, we're not here to talk about my horrible version of a beard. Okay, we're not here to discuss that. I'm just glad my camera right now is messing up and I'm not as crystal clear as Jimmy because we don't need to see this beard in HD. Antonio Smith says, not free agency related, but what's one player the Ravens can't pass on if he's available at 27? I'm personally hoping for T-Mac, Booker, or Mike Green. I tend to agree with you when it comes to T-Mac, although I know some fans are saying we don't need. If Terrio McMillan is there, I want that guy. He's the body type and the type of receiver we've never successfully drafted. I think we've drafted some good receivers, certainly the first Pro Bowler and Zay Flowers and others, but we've never had a player like T-Mac. But also in that, I think Malachi Starks is in that same field. I know that he fell because of his combine numbers weren't great, but man, I just think about him as a 3 safety tandem. Holy, I think that would be awfully exciting. But yeah, I think there's quite a few players, and we're certainly going to dive more deep into the draft here upcoming.
Yeah, I like your take on T-Mac as well. I'll be interested to see who it is that falls, what group of guys that there are. But I'll say this, I feel confident that there will be an offensive lineman we didn't expect to be there. And one, I know everyone is, the edge room is deep. But when you have a lot of prospects in the edge, I mean, tell me if you disagree with me here, Glenn, but when you have a deep position, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a number of surprises. Like say you have 27 guys that have, as an arbitrary number here, that have a top 50 grade and 15 of them are first round grades. That 15th guy might be the third edge rusher taken.
Yeah.
Right. Like I feel like because there's it's a deep class, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow one of these guys ends up pushed
like a James
close
Pierce
enough to where we
Jr.
make a play.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be because we saw some, like we had our group of guys at the top, and then when the combine hits and you get these guys running these crazy 40 times and crazy shuttles and they're putting up crazy amount of bench presses, you get like a guy like Shamar Stewart who absolutely went off from Texas A&M, who could shoot up the boards. But what that could do is force a guy who was originally up there, who didn't have the greatest combine, and then all of a sudden he drops in the lap like Mike Green, like Antonio mentioned. I would be surprised if that were the case, if one of those guys dropped. But hey, man, you never know in the draft. To Jimmy's point, you never know. Like they all talk about these quarterbacks. I don't think anybody knows like how many quarterbacks are actually going to get taken. I do believe that there's teams that are going to fall in love with Shador or with Jackson Dart. Like I think there's going to be teams that take. I think there's going to be more than one. Everybody's saying it could be only one, just Cam Ward quarterback taken. I don't think there's any chance there's only one quarterback in the first round. I think there's going to be 3 in the top 10. I'm calling it now. At the least 3 in the top 10. And I don't care. I don't care what all these draft predictors say. You need a quarterback. There's too many teams that need quarterbacks. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, Antonio. I'm excited for it though.
Absolutely, man. It's really going to be fun. Seeking King of the Seas said, trade some of our Dragons horde of picks and move up to the top O or D lineman in the first. We got 11 gosh dang picks. Don't need them all. I mean, I think we kind of have touched on this a bit. I think there definitely will be some movement here by the Baltimore Ravens. Don't be surprised, King of Seas. Yeah, so I don't know how drastic the move will be by the Ravens. I think historically we don't go from 27 to 10, but I could see some moves like 4 to 5. I could see them moving up to 20 if they're so compelled to do so. I don't know if I see them moving into anything before 20. But I could see them for a guy that's, moving that way. I could see Eric pulling the trigger because we don't need 11 picks, right? So let's do something with them.
Yeah, it's going to be, that's the part where I'm like, man, how are they going to, because I don't think 11 picks are actually going to get taken, but I see it more likely that they'll have movement towards the middle or back end of the draft. I'm not so sure they'd be willing to jump up in the first round just because it costs so much. Like just to go from 27, 28 where they're at to go to say 20, that's going to probably cost them like a second round pick. Like it's an insane amount to get up that high in the first round. So I'd be surprised, but at the same point, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see them make some sort of trade up. Just not maybe day one. That's all. But 11 picks. Whew.
Yeah, wild.
That's a lot of picks.
It is.
But speaking of, we're going to talk about some other signings. Well, we got to start by talking about the the news that was shared to us actually first from DK on X, there was a gentleman, I think he runs like a Cleveland Browns podcast is what it looks like, an older gentleman who has apparently connections in the Browns front office, and he seems to know what their plan is for quarterback. And that plan, and look, this shouldn't come as any surprise, because if anyone remembers the flip-flopping we saw from Myles Garrett, where he was one moment demanding a trade out of Cleveland, and everybody was like, finally, get this guy out of there. He deserves to leave Cleveland. And also, as a Ravens fan, I was like, finally, get this guy out of the damn AFC North so Ronnie Stanley doesn't have to deal with him. And then 3 days later, he does a complete about-face, re-signs for a monster contract, I think the most ever by a non-quarterback, gets absolutely paid. And when he's doing his interview rounds on NFL Network, he's smiling and asking. They say, well, what made you change your mind? He said, well, they told me about what their plan is for quarterback. And he's got the big grin on his face. I can't tell you, but I know what their plan is. And it's like, it left a lot of people going, what the hell could their plan be that would make this guy, is he just BSing and just covering up the fact that they just gave him a boatload of money? Or is there maybe some Aaron Rodgers behind the scene? Like, who could it be? And then we see quarterbacks getting signed left and right. We see, Wilson we see, who is it? Goes to the Raiders. Geno goes to the Raiders. Well, who the hell are they going to? Is he this excited over a rookie? There's no way. And then DK let us know that this guy is saying that he has sources in the front office that are saying that the Browns are going to try and trade for Dak Prescott. They're going to use a package of Denzel Ward along with some picks to go get Dak Prescott to be their quarterback, and then draft Abdul Carter at number 2 to pair him opposite Myles Garrett. In fact, Abdul Carter has been described as the next Myles Garrett. So putting them opposite each other on a defensive line, if I was a Browns fan, I'd be pretty excited about that. But Jimmy, would you be excited as a Browns fan to hear that Dak Prescott is their target and their savior?
I don't like the Cowboys. I don't like Cowboy fans for the most part. It's like, and the owner is, I don't like anything about the Cowboys. However, I do like Dak. I think he gets.
You're a Dak guy.
I think I like him as a person, and I think he's an above average quarterback, where I think he's at this point better than Deshaun Watson, right? Simply because he's more available. And I think he's just a better quarterback. He's, psychologically speaking, I think Deshaun is pretty ruined as far as being an NFL quarterback. But imagine going from having Deshaun Watson to Dak being your leader of men. I mean, talk about change of momentum.
Yeah.
All that being said, I think the best way I can describe Dak is this. Glenn, you and I had a conversation that I won't forget, because I was upset about the fact that Dak was being talked about as the MVP the day after they beat the Seahawks by 1, I think, or something in overtime.
Yep. A team
and I was like, why is this? We absolutely dominated the Seahawks, and Lamar Jackson looked basically flawless in that game, right? So I think that Dak is a good, one of the best option B quarterbacks. I don't think he's in upper echelon. You know what I mean? And it's no knock on Dak. I like him as a guy, and I think he would make them better. I wouldn't be that excited if I was Garrett, if I was Myles Garrett.
Yeah. I think it's definitely an upgrade from, you can't be any worse than Deshaun Watson was for them. King of the Sea says, I hope the boo-boo Browns get Dak. Pick City. Yeah, he would be an upgrade, but the amount of money that they're going to have to pay him, he ain't that kind of an upgrade.
Right.
He's not.
And that's the hard part about the cornerback market in general, don't you think?
Yeah, because you got to pay him what you have to pay him, even if you don't necessarily believe that they're like I would put him. I'm trying to think, is he Purdy? Is he like Purdy in a sense that if the cast around him is good, he can be good? Because Purdy with the cast around him was MVP caliber.
Yeah, DK, you're saying Purdy's better? No. He's saying Dak is better.
Actually, when Dak has issues around him, if you look at he hasn't been good. The only time he's been good is when he's had a good team. And that's the same thing with Purdy. What has Dak done that Purdy hasn't done?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it. Like, put their best seasons against each other. Yeah, like I don't know. To me, he's those two are very, very similar in my book. Yeah, he was the 30th rated quarterback last year in the league.
Oy.
He was behind guys like Drake May, Tua, Justin Fields was graded better than him. Kirk Cousins. I mean, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you name it. They basically were all better than him. So, yeah, I'm not, I mean, good. This is good for Ravens fans, right?
Yeah.
This is not somebody who scares me in the
Right.
slightest. I think this would be awesome for the Ravens if they decided to bet all that money on, because they're going to have to pay him a ton of money. And yeah, I don't see it from Dak. So, yeah, good luck, Browns. But and to give up Denzel Ward, who I think is a hell of a player, and multiple picks is what it's probably going to take. Great. Yay. Now, our offensive line's got to deal with Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter. So
that's a problem.
That sucks. That's going to be tough because Myles Garrett alone was almost enough to wreck an entire game. And now you add a guy who's being compared to him. That's pretty scary too.
Yeah.
So Jax is saying this trade is fit. Well, but what else are they going to do at quarterback? What else was Myles Garrett smiling about? What else could he possibly be smirking about if this isn't it? And then if you listen to it, I don't know if we get knocked copyright to play.
What if they just said they assured him that Deshaun is not their long-term option and they're going to figure a way out of this? Like maybe that was enough of an assurance to say, hey, we're done with this. Like, we realize we're going to have to pay for this financially, but we're going to move on and figure this out. That would
make you smile like a little shit-eating.
Well, that along with a $160 million contract.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like the combination of those two things.
But he was smiling when asked about the quarterback. Like he was acting as if he knew something that we didn't know. And that to me isn't enough.
Excited about Shador.
Who is excited about a rookie though?
Dude, he's your guy, bro.
Yeah, but veterans always are like, it's a rookie. I mean, I don't know. I guess I could be wrong. DK, you think we can play this? I see all these other YouTubers play clips, and that's all they do is play clips and talk about the clips. So let's play this clip. Let's.
Yeah. And the other thing I'll say too, real quick, is that Glenn, you're going down with that ship. Whatever happens with Shador, it's on you, bro.
What do you mean? I just said he has a chance. I haven't said anything more.
He's your guy, dude.
Oh, now he's my guy. Okay. All right. Okay. Kirk, they said Kirk's staying.
Yeah. Well, it could change.
All right.
Get ready for this one.
Oh boy. Looks like a Cleveland guy.
I got a pretty darn good source.
Can you at least put us in the window or on the screen? I think that might help.
Couple.
Or no. Yeah, there we go.
I heard since our last show that part of the reason Myles Garrett was so willing to sign this extension for contract, money.
Yeah, Jimmy.
The Browns are negotiating as we speak with the Dallas Cowboys for a trade for Dak Prescott. And Garrett got all giddy about it. Why, I don't know. We're not going anywhere with Prescott. Even if they pull off. Newsom's part of it. And draft picks. Now, Prescott has a hamstring injury as we speak, and he may not be ready for the start of training camp. But this comes from a couple of different sources. And take it for what it's worth. If it does come about, remember where you heard it first.
There you go. He seems awfully confident in his sources, at least. But I don't know. He could be completely wrong. Oh, it's Greg Newsome. Okay, not Denzel Ward. Okay, that was my mistake. All right, well.
No, all good.
That's a big difference because, that's a big difference between those two guys. Not that Greg Newsome's a horrible player, but Denzel Ward is much better.
Sure.
But, yeah, we'll see. I don't think – look, it doesn't scare me either way. In fact, the only thing that scares me is that would mean they commit to having Abdul Carter and that other guy. Myles Garrett.
Seriously, like
That scares the hell out of me. That
They'll
guy
still
looks
be the
like he eats
Browns.
chili cheese dogs every day for 40 years.
What happened?
I think they're bashing that guy that we just had on screen. I don't know. I mean, he could be completely wrong, but I remember that interview that Myles Garrett did, and he had a grin as if he knew something nobody else in the world knew. And
Right.
I just don't see that. Like, I think Dak could make him have that grin. I don't see that from a rookie. I don't think so. Maybe I'm reading too much into that one interview. I could be.
Yeah. And look, they could always, I mean, this is the last thing I'll say about it. They could always have said something to him and can
Just
turn
to
around
get
and say,
him.
well, business, it didn't work out.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
That's true. They could
and
just
you're under
lied to the guy.
contract, right?
Yeah.
Look, if you can't, there's an old saying in sales, Glenn, if you can't convince them, confuse them.
I like that.
Right?
I mean, that's not right, but I think that's fun.
Why do you think that every insurance or bill from a medical company or insurance providers comes with, you have to be a legal professional to understand it. It's 80 pages long because they're expecting you to give up and be confused.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
That's what they did. They
can't convince you. They just confused you.
Damn it.
That's all it was. But all right, I'm excited to talk about this, Glenn. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the signings throughout the NFL. We're going to highlight what we would consider some really poor ones. And you know what? I'm going to kick this thing off.
Please do.
Because I'm excited to talk about this one. We're going to go straight to the to the AFC East. And it's funny to me because they dropped some money on the guy under center, and I was a big fan of him coming out of college, and I've lost all faith and confidence in this guy because he couldn't beat Russell Wilson for the starting job when, he should have been able to do so. I don't think that that's unreasonable. Justin Fields got a 2-year, $40 million contract with $30 million guaranteed, Glenn. 30 million for what? That's my only question is like, why? Who were they bidding against? Themselves. Like, how did this happen? Kudos to Justin Fields' agent because how he gaslit the hell out of the New York Jets. I mean, what other answer is there? No one else was in single file line to sign Justin Fields. What happened here, dude?
Well, I think the Jets are desperate, right? Like, they've been a dumpster fire. I think they're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks at this point. I mean, remember this time, 2 years ago, Aaron Rodgers was going to lead this franchise to the Super Bowl. I mean, this was A-Rod's coming. I remember Greeny, the big Jets fan that he is on Get Up, had a jersey behind him with A-Rod's name. I mean, the Jets fans said we finally got our guy, and only to see A-Rod go out there and put up a worse record over a 2-year stretch than Zach Wilson did. I mean, that's got to be devastating. And at this point, Woody Johnson is just scrambling. He's going, who has any upside to him? And I think of all the quarterbacks, maybe that were out there, maybe he had, because there wasn't much out there unless you were willing to make a trade. So let's see. Sea King of the Sea says, Justin Fields getting $30 million is diabolical. Yeah.
Bro, crazy to me, dude.
It is. But guys are desperate, man, when it comes
to know that he got that call. Let me tell you what, a long time ago, Glenn, I got an offer that was basically double what my current pay was. And the lady that was giving me the offer was like, is this going to work for you? And I did one of these. I'm like, yes. I'm like, oh yeah, that'll be just
It's like
fine.
Michael Scott.
Yeah,
we're going to need the room. We're going to need the room.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, right. Like, you telling me Justin Fields didn't have one of those moments?
Well, I mean, it's like, I don't know, man. It's like the quarterback market is what it is. And I guess if they want to bring you in as a potential starter, then you got to pay that. But yeah, of course he was hyped. Hell yeah.
So hyped.
And to go to live in New York, I'm sure Jersey, but a lot of people are excited about that. But all right, well, let me have a turn here.
Yeah,
Jimbo.
let's see it.
Because look, there's a lot of them there's a lot of them I could bash on here. So I'm going to pick some. Let me see. What do I have here? I'm trying to share the right screen. Here we go. Okay. Because I understand why they did it, but right here, Jimbo. I mean, 3 years, $69 million goes from the New England Patriots to Stephon Diggs.
Wild.
Stephon Diggs was a player that, the New England Patriots were a team that were in on virtually every big name guy that was out there and just struck out time and time again. Like, they couldn't get anybody that they wanted to come their way. And I understand why. Like, it's an organization that certainly hasn't been doing so hot since Bill Belichick, or really even the last couple of years of him being there. Now, the thing that surprises me is I think they got a decent young quarterback in Drake May. I don't think he's a bust. I think he's got a lot of potential. They just don't have anyone around him. And so to fix that, they threw money at Mac Hollins, who famously wears no shoes unless he's playing football. That's what's made him famous. And then Stephon Diggs, who's coming off a season-ending injury, secures a 3-year, $69 million bag. And I guess I get it from Stephon's point in a sense, because that's a lot of money, but he's not competing to go anywhere now. Like, this is the final big deal of his career, and it's a shame that he'll never really compete in the playoffs because they're not going anywhere. But also, do you just throw money at people because you have extra money? Or do you it just seems like they just gave it to him to try and sell a couple tickets. No one isn't going to go anywhere other than a potentially 1-year deal where he's going to be unhappy. The team will be unhappy with him. And then it's ultimately going to end next offseason in a big dumpster fire. I'm predicting social media issue is what I see in the future for this signing, because he's not going to be happy playing for a horrible team with a young quarterback who he's going to get pissed off. Remember, this is a guy who was unhappy getting 150 targets a year from Josh Allen. So now you're going to keep this guy happy with Drake May? I don't see it. So I think he's going to be absolutely miserable, and he's going to make those feelings very public. So I just don't get the signing from New England. You have the money. You don't just give it to any old person who's willing to accept it. And that's what it feels like New England's done.
Well, yeah, I just feel like this is remember the year when the Jags went out and got Urban Meyer, and then they had like $88 million and
spent it all.
Yeah, it was just, who knows who they spent it on. I can't even remember, right? I remember they signed a receiver to way too much money. But yeah, it was just a myriad of odd signings.
Oh, so Christian Kirk.
It was like $42 million, 3 years.
They gave him a bag, and he's a decent player, but they gave him a bag.
Yeah, at that point, certainly the market didn't bear that out. Once again, yeah, I don't understand what these other teams do to value the market, in each player specifically. This one was surprising to me. I don't know how you give Diggs anything but a 1-year deal at this point.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because if not, does he he's just one of those guys. If he doesn't have the accountability of a 1-year deal, he starts all the bad stuff starts to come to fruition, right? Like, it starts to come to the surface. So that's definitely a rough one, man. And look, it's funny that we're in the AFC East, because of course the MVP, resides in that division. Malik Harrison ain't no dang way. No muck you says that. So,
oh yeah.
Go ahead. I know we talked about that pre-show.
Can you pull that clip up, by the way, DK? Because if you guys saw, Malik Harrison had his recent introductory press conference with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he was asked a bunch of questions. But the one he was asked that I think I found the most amusing was when he was asked about how is it trying to stop the combination of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in practice, since you had to, he had to do that every single day here in Baltimore. And I found his answers. Look, I shouldn't bet. Look, I would say I would be confident too, right? If I was Malik Harrison, I'd be confident too. But it just sounded a little bit too confident when he was talking about the potential of facing off against those.
Yeah, didn't he use the word dominate?
Well, we're gonna see if.
All right, let's do this, DK.
Here. Because this, yeah, he may have wanted to choose his words better. Now, is this just the clip? Okay. All right, go ahead and fire this thing.
How much are you looking forward to trying to be part of this defense, stopping that run game with Derrick Henry, with Lamar twice or even 3 times this season?
Oh yeah, and I mean, going against it in practice every day, you can't do too much because you don't want to mess with church money. But now me being on the other side, I can really just unleash and just dominate how I know I can do.
And how much are you looking for?
So he's going to dominate, Jimbo. He's been just waiting.
Boy.
He's just been waiting for them to let him dominate Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, he was the first one that's going to give it a full-on try.
That's right.
No one else has ever tried that one before. Oh, my goodness gracious. And I love that the Steelers just continue to pick up our I don't want to say anything disparaging, but
yeah, don't be – look, they keep taking our linebackers. We don't want no more. That's
that's about the nicest way you could say it. But, Glenn, right. I want to point out another one because I think this one is equally as egregious. I'm going to stay at the quarterback position. I understand some of the rationale. I just don't think the player is the guy. So let's go to the Indianapolis Colts.
Colts, all right. Let's have a look-see. You want me to pull it up?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I can just talk about it. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But
I thought you had it up. That's my bad.
Oh, my bad. So the Indianapolis Colts, if you guys don't know, signed Danny Dimes. That's right, Daniel Jones. Now it's only a 1-year deal. It's not a multi-year commitment, but I just don't understand why you give a guy $13 million in guaranteed money for what? Right? Like, give him an incentive-laden deal. Like, I'm not even overly upset with the total, but like, once again, who are you competing with that's driving this dollar up to $13 million in fully guaranteed money in 1 year? For a guy that, what has he actually proven in the NFL? The only thing that I know about Daniel Dimes is Daniel Jones is that he turns the ball over all the time. Mm-hmm. He throws to no one or the wrong team, and he trips over himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that the Giants reached at the beginning. I think he's ever been who he was supposed to be. And he'll always go down as the Giants' wrong pick over Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. Well, the thing I have a problem with is you're once again creating another quarterback controversy for your young quarterback in Anthony Richardson to where there's now a viable option behind him that fans are going to scream for as soon as Anthony Richardson has anything go wrong. Like, that's the thing I don't like about it. You're setting Richardson up. Like, do you believe in Richardson or not? Because I don't think Daniel Jones brings the veteran leadership that you're looking for to mentor a young quarterback. Like, this doesn't seem like that's why they brought Daniel Jones in for. That's not the guy I would pick for to go, all right, he's going to teach my young quarterback how to be a quarterback. I don't know if Daniel Jones is the guy you want for that. So it tells me that they're bringing him in more for competition's sake. And I don't know if that's the right thing to do if you truly believe in Anthony Richardson long term. Competition's not bad, but you gotta look for the mental side of things when you're messing with quarterbacks and kickers, certain positions. I just don't like because fans are going to go, we want Daniel Jones as soon as this guy throws a pick in week 1 immediately. And then they're going to have to start fielding questions. Now they're going to be asking Richardson, hey, are you getting a little nervous? Are you looking over your shoulder at Daniel Jones? And now he has to answer those questions. Now the head coach has to answer questions. What's the leash like on Richardson? You're going to give him another week? It just creates a whole atmosphere that you didn't need to, when you could have just brought in like a Kirk Cousins or like somebody who's like maybe Kirk's not even a good example. Somebody who doesn't necessarily threaten Richardson at all, but has been around the league a while to where he can provide some sort of mentorship or leadership behind the scenes.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins probably not a good example, right?
Yeah, maybe
but
not.
There are better ones out there.
I would rather have Josh Johnson if I was them. Like,
yeah, seriously,
right?
Yeah, I agree. But once again, I just don't understand the idea of competing. Like, who's in line to sign Daniel Jones? Maybe there was a demand that I didn't know about, but I don't get it. I don't get why you give him anything but an incentive-laden deal. And to your point, like, why do this to Richardson, right? You got to let him off the leash at some point.
Yep. Yeah. Or at least make it to where show him some confidence. Like, hey, look, man, we didn't get nobody. Like, nobody that can challenge you. Like, we got this old dude who we want to help, talk to you through film. but we didn't get anybody who can really challenge you. But no, they go out and get a guy who's literally going to be competing with him every step of the way. He's going to get questions every step of the way about that competition. I just don't understand. Yeah, they don't believe in him. I guess you're right. Yeah, that's true, Maryland, Texas. He did pull himself out of a game. That was insane because he was tired. Like, I'll never forget that. Anthony Richardson was like, yeah, I mean, didn't you see all the running I did? I needed a couple plays. Like, what? The quarterbacks don't really typically do that. That was interesting. But yeah, so I guess maybe that was like the end. Like, they were like, yeah, no, we're done. Like, even Gardner Minshew, he signed a 1-year deal this year with I can't remember. I wish I could find the detail. I guarantee you Gardner Minshew is making less money than Danny Dimes. I would much rather have Gardner Minshew as my backup if I was the
And
Colts.
wasn't he there before? So he knows the system.
Well, the system's probably changed.
Well, he knows the organization at the very least.
He knows the organization. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just don't. I don't understand the logic behind it. But hey, you know.
Yeah, he signed with the Chiefs. His contract is so small that they didn't even give the contract details.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be pocket change. So I don't know. And then, like, it makes the deal for Russell Wilson's deal look smart. Like, he's got a 1-year. The Giants signed Russell Wilson a 1-year, $10.5 million deal that has incentives that could carry it up to 21. Like, he's going to be their starter day one, and they gave him a more reasonable deal than the Colts gave Danny Dimes to be a quarterback controversy. I just don't like. I'm not a Giant. I think the Giants have made dumb move after dumb move, and I don't necessarily love this one because I would rather tank and pick in the top 5 than have Russell Wilson get me to 7 wins, which I think he could if he has the right cast of characters around him, especially when you look. I mean, again, the NFC to me doesn't really instill a lot of fear. So I would rather go with Tommy Cutlets and just go out there with DeVito and let's see what happens than have Russell Wilson get me to 7 wins. But I at least don't have an issue with the money. Like, at least they went, we got him for a steal. You know,
Dable's trying to save his job too.
That's a good point. Dable might be going, I can't afford another top 3 draft pick, or I'm not going to be playing. I mean, that could be the case, but I don't know. Yeah, what the hell were the Colts doing, dude?
I don't know, man. I don't get it. You got another one?
Let's see here. I'm cycling through. Well, the Eagles extended Saquon Barkley. Do you think that was a good move?
Yeah, just, I think that was okay.
I tell you what, I like them bringing A.J. Dillon in to back him up, man. I think that's a nice little kind of change. That guy's a big bruiser. I think that's a nice little change of pace there. But
I got another one.
Let me hear it. Hit me.
Oh, this is probably mean.
Oh,
I probably shouldn't say it. Najee Harris.
No. Hold on. That is mean. They got him for a deal.
They got him. Look, they gave him $3.75 million guaranteed dollars.
Dude, that's a deep. Jimbo, take that off the list. You're not allowed to put it on the list. That's a good deal for him.
Am I just bashing Najee Harris because I don't like it?
That was unnecessary. Okay?
That was you see, look, now I feel bad. You know what? I'm not taking it back.
No?
No.
Dude, that's a steal for
he's in a good situation. But I wouldn't pay him.
He got?
1 year.
Well, but how many years has he been in the league? They probably didn't give him much more than the minimum.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. I guess anything over a few bucks is what I would have considered overpaying.
Anything over a bag of balls, huh? Oh, like, look at this. Jacoby Brissett went to the Cardinals for way less money.
Dude, I don't get it, man.
That would have been a perfect guy to bring in, like, if I was the Colts.
Mariota re-signed with the Commanders for 8
now,
which I still think is a lot.
I think Mariota wanted to be there.
For sure, but to your point, right? Like,
that would have been a perfect guy. Perfect guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I mean, Jimmy G backing up Matthew Stafford. Yeah, I don't mind that. Do you think Devontae Adams still has enough left in the tank?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind that deal.
Yeah. No, not at all.
I can imagine him opposite Puka Nacua, who I think is just an absolute stud.
Yeah.
That could be a pretty fearsome, 1-2 punch there. Let's see. Sam Darnold. Did you see this, by the way? Sam Darnold's deal, 3 years, $100 million, $55 million guaranteed, $37.5 million in year one. So does that mean they can essentially, I guess they're kind of on the hook for 2 years with $55 million in total guarantees, but is this like a 1-year deal that they've kind of masked?
I thought maybe the 37.5 in year one includes some sort of a sign-on bonus, right? So like within the 12-month period, he's getting that full 37.5.
Okay.
Sign-on bonus plus like his yearly guarantees or whatever. I think that's what makes that year one higher.
Gotcha. And then does this not seem like a pretty decent signing for them? 3 years.
Yeah, it does.
45?
And oh, you're talking about Cooper. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Sam. I think Sam's signing is solid. And I think he's an upgrade from Geno. And yeah, I think Cooper Kupp. But the thing about Cooper is just always the same thing, right? He's got to stay healthy.
Right. But would they give DK Metcalf again?
My gosh.
Can someone,
what was it? 146 million, 141 million.
How many per? How much per? It's like 30 or 40 million per year.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Matter of fact, I could just pull it up.
And I think it's fair to say that if Cooper Kupp strings together some additional healthy years, he's in the Hall, right?
I guess
he's
so.
the Triple Crown. He's the Super Bowl winner.
Is the Triple Crown enough?
And that's what I'm saying. He's got to string together some years, some additional, solid, Pro Bowl level years. But I think that at the end of it, if his cumulative stats are good enough with the Triple Crown, with the Super Bowl, I think he has a chance.
So Jimbo, 30 mil a year compared to 15 mil a year for Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. See, it's funny because I thought you were going to get mad at me about bringing up DK. Well, that was DK Metcalf. That is, I think that I don't like that signing.
No, that's what I'm saying. They got Cooper Kupp for half of
right.
DK. Cooper could be hurt. But if he's not, and you got him for half, that's a top 10 receiver. And I think I'm kind of slighting Cooper Kupp because, he's had some recent injury issues. But when he's out there and healthy, let's not forget that Cooper Kupp is an absolute monster.
Yep.
So to get him for 15 when they paid 30 for DK, that seems like a pretty good deal for the Seahawks.
Yeah, and speaking of pretty good deals, I want to get this number. Contract with Brandon Cooks, of course, signed with the Saints for a 2-year deal. I'm trying to figure out the value of it. It's a 2-year, $13 million contract, approximately $3.2 million for the upcoming season. Dude, talk about value.
Yeah, that guy, how many different contracts has Brandon Cooks signed in his
career? And how many times? He's a multi-year 1,000-yard receiver, correct? Like
everywhere he goes.
Yeah, it's just in different scenarios, with different teams, different places, different quarterbacks, different systems. He just produces. I wish we would have. Look, I like the DeAndre Hopkins signing, but Cooper Kupp. Jeez, I can't keep up with all the. Brandon Cooks would have been a nice signing here too.
Yeah, it would have been solid. Although I will say, I'm fine with us not bringing in another little guy.
That's fair.
I love that we brought in Hopkins.
From a versatility standpoint.
Yeah, it just seems like he would kind of fit what we already have and not really bring something different. So, but yeah, that guy signed so many different deals for so many different teams. It's amazing.
Yeah.
He's going to be one of those guys where you just look at his total earnings after his career is over. Dude's going to make a ton of money.
Yeah. And then the other thing too, Glenn, as a reference, we were kind of talking about it, but if you look at Mac Jones' contract, how does Daniel Jones make more money than Mac Jones? You know what I mean? They're so comparable in what they're going to end up doing. I just feel like Daniel Jones was given more opportunities to show he can't do it and just showed he can't do it. Right. Remember Control F.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
And just type in Mac and it should pop up.
F.
I wouldn't be able to stomach paying Daniel Jones more than Mac Jones. Me personally.
Why is it not working?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe
seems like a user error issue.
Maybe Control F doesn't work on this screen. Try it on yours.
I just tried it.
It worked?
Yeah. Maybe
I'm
you gotta
holding in control.
Click in the window. Also, it's Command F. My bad.
See?
My bad.
And then it worked fine. You think you know an IT guy.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, there it is. And I think this was a smart move because
Yeah.
Purdy's always banged up. So this was a nice move. But
doesn't this feel more in line with what?
like, I would have rather the Niners get Danny Dimes than Mac Jones in a sense that, man, I think the upside, I see what you're saying. Like, Mac Jones may have less low points, but I would rather, if I was going to bank on one of them, like turning around their career, I think I'd lean towards Danny. I think I would over Mac just because of the physicals. Like, Danny can still hit 20 miles an hour. He might trip over his own shoelaces, but he'll hit 20. I mean, either one is bad. I don't want to turn to either one, but I think his mobility would actually be nice in San Francisco's system. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of crazy deals. Look, the Niners lost so many good players.
Oh my gosh, so many.
It's absolutely insane how many good players they saw not only leave, but go to not go far, like to guys that they're gonna have to see these guys.
Right.
But
I do want to tell you my favorite signing real quick, Glenn.
What's that?
And I'm not trolling his. It's actually my favorite signing. Mekhi Becton to the Chargers. 2 years, $20 million. Because I feel like that's a sweet deal in my opinion. I like it a lot. I think there's value for them. I think, there's incentive for him. He's getting paid. This would have been a nice one for the Ravens too, I feel like.
And that's a bargain.
Yeah.
For a guy that played really good last year for them, man. Yeah, that's a good one. I think Becton was a target that a lot of fans were hoping for after he kind of had a reclamation project. He was the reclamation project, kicking inside the guard after he was drafted as a tackle and found out, I mean, he's huge, but he can play guard.
Yeah.
And he played it really well. So, yeah, that's a good sign. The Chargers made a couple of nice signings this year. I think I mean, I know you're not a Najee guy, but I think that was a good signing for them.
I think it's a better signing for him than them. I think he's now put in the best case scenario to have success. I mean, Greg Roman's offense can churn out 1,000-yard.
How many does he end up with, Jimbo? Honestly,
I mean, he's got to be like 1,300, right?
Yeah, I think because it's great. If he's healthy, 13. And how many tutties? 10, 12?
Something, dude. But certainly,
where does Najee get drafted in fantasy football?
Yeah, I think he's going to be. I mean, well, it depends on the league you're in. I think in a league like yours that is mostly full of people that know football, I think that he'll go high, but I think
you're going to tell the names of the people who you don't think know football?
No, I can't.
Right on live on the air?
No, I can't do that. But I think in other leagues, if they're not using suggestions from like analytics and otherwise, I think he'll be a sleeper.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think if he's healthy, he's going to put up yards and touchdowns. There's just no doubt about it. But yeah, okay. All right. I like that sign. That was a good one, Jimbo. I don't like that they got him, but now you talk about a team who's done nothing. Dallas Cowboys. I mean, woof. Especially if they trade away their quarterback, which is potentially what's going to be happening here before the draft. So, we'll
it would be hilarious, dude. They trade him away. They draft Shador. They fire the coach after this season, and then they hire Showtime. Primetime.
Yeah.
I could totally see that happening as the world turns.
Did you see Prime in Cleveland, though?
No. Oh, shoot. You're right. I'm thinking about that wrong. My bad. I'm thinking about Dallas. Yeah, no. So Dallas would acquire the picks. Right. I'm thinking about this right, Glenn. You're thinking about it wrong.
Oh, you're talking about. See, I don't think number 2, the second overall pick, has ever been a part of the package.
Well, I think that. Anyway, we'll see. I think it would have to be I don't know. I feel like it would have to be there, right?
Ooh, man, that would be spice. If the Cowboys are getting the number 2 pick plus some more and Newsome, I think I would do that in a heartbeat if I was the Cowboys.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see. But I think ultimately the Ravens are in good position. They add Awuzie, who I think, if healthy, can obviously provide at the very least some pretty nice depth. And if he's healthy and back up to form, then I think he can be absolutely more than that and can be a dependable starter. And that would be huge for the Ravens as they continue to kind of fill their depth chart up to the draft so they can do their best player available mentality and not have to pick based solely on need. But look, there's a lot of other players still out there. There's a lot of still positions of need for the Ravens. So we're going to keep talking about it as the draft gets a little, what are we, a month out? About a month out. We still got some time. Still got the Ravens, I think, will still continue to add fiscally smart signings. Like, I don't think they're going to do anything crazy, but I think they'll continue to add guys just like they have so far. I think that's 2 solid veterans. And yeah, I'm happy with it so far. Can't wait to see what the Ravens do in the draft.
Yeah. We'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.